Hello 732 students. I just want to send a quick video to you to summarize this past module. First off, nice job. I enjoyed reading both the reading and lecture questions as well as your discussion of your literature review. I really think that the discussion of the literature review in particular was helpful for your fellow students. It's always nice to know that you're all struggling, not that you're struggling, but that you're all struggling through the same things, working through the same things. I hope you are not struggling. I realize that, as I've said many times, that this class is a little bit like learning a new language, and I really enjoyed some of the reading and lecture questions about aspects of that new language. One thing that stuck out to me was this whole discussion of z-scores and what a z-score is. And a z-score is important because it allows us to compare distributions of two separate variables that are measured using different units of analysis. But if they're both continuously, both continuous variables and they're both normally distributed, we have the capacity to make those comparisons. Now, I used an example of how that was useful in some of my own work when comparing student performance and school performance across different tests. That's a very specific usage, but as we move forward into more advanced statistical methods in this course, you'll see why the ability to convert a variable into a z-score is so important. It allows us to do some of this multivariate modeling, which can be very useful for hypothesis testing. And if that sounds like gobbledygook right now, don't worry, it'll all start making sense once we get a little further down in the readings. Also had a nice discussion there about probability distributions. And that's another thing that can be very confusing, and the way it was written in the text was actually probably not helpful in terms of clarifying it. My advice on the message boards and my advice to you right now is to not get hung up on those specifics. When we start doing hypothesis testing for our next class, there's going to be some statistics we throw out there like chi-square, where we use the chi-square distribution. And that may, again, sound like gobbledygook for you today, but it will start to make sense when we go through Module 3. So I also want to say a couple quick things about SPSS. Hopefully you are using it, you are experimenting with it. The one lesson that I wanted to get across in the recorded lecture, and it's worth reemphasizing, is that SPSS will do what you tell it to do. And when you're doing your take-home homework, for example, the ungraded take-home homework, chances are you might see things that don't look quite right, and oftentimes that is a sign where you told SPSS to do something, let's say, that's like make a histogram, which is correct for a continuous variable, but doesn't make sense to do for a categorical variable. Now that's something that, again, it's the best way to learn SPSS, the best way to learn statistical analysis is by doing and struggling through it. And a quick reminder that I expect that take-home assignment to be, or that paper, that take-home assignment to be in the Dropbox by March 18th. So you have until the end of the next module to get that done. The paper topic presentation that I had the short video on explaining to you, and that will be due, will be due on March 12th in the Dropbox. And with that, I do expect you to build off of what you did for your literature review, and I do expect that to be a tee-up for your final paper. The whole point of these grading assignments, both the literature review and now this paper topic presentation, is that it forces you to dig into a topic, dig into the existing literature on a topic, and now forces you to articulate exactly what you learned and exactly what you want to do with that information in terms of setting up your final paper and hopefully someday your capstone for this program. So there is a method to this madness, and I do encourage you to stick with it. A couple quick reminders. I do expect you to watch all the lectures that I post online, and I have the ability to actually go into D2L and find out how much time you're spending on D2L and whether or not you have watched a lecture. So that will affect your grade in this class, so make sure you are doing that. Also, make sure you keep up with the presentation, or the message boards. I also have the capacity, obviously, to see how often you post, but also how often you read, how much time you spend reading, and how many posts you actually read. So that will also go into your final grade. So I do encourage you to participate. Remember, this program is in person, is designed around 5 modules in which we spend 7 hours together. So we need to find a way to try to kind of mimic that, or at least have an equal amount of class participation as we would have during one of those sessions. So with that, good luck getting everything ready for next module. Chapters 11 through 17 in the text, I expect you to read by March 12th. And I will be posting the lectures on March 12th, and I'll expect you to watch those during the week. Have yourself a nice week and keep up the good work.